Solar flash update, September 9th. Sumerian goddess Tiamat has taken me as her consort. Question your reality and then change it. If you're new to the channel, the thunderwizard.com is the website, and it's where I teach higher dimensional energy practices, personal mentorship, spiritual counseling, and we also have live Zoom group classes. And you can go to the shop and purchase some meditations and energy work. YouTube, of course, is at Thunderwizard, and all of my books are at michaelwilliamdenny.com. I encourage all of you to show up for the live guided interdimensional meditations, which we have every Wednesday and Saturday at 8:30 p.m. live here on the channel. But you can also access them in the live tab. They'll be archived every time we do them, so there's tons of them. You can especially take a look at the one we did on the 14th of August. The most recent one we did on Saturday was also extremely powerful. But in any case, those meditations they're changing the earth. We are changing planet Earth when we do those meditations. So today is I'm giving the video for the solar flash update. And what am I talking about? The Sumerian goddess Tiamat has taken me as her consort. So, as you know, my most recent decision about what I do on this channel is I'm just completely transparent with you. I've been hiding from everybody, but from the channel as well as everybody else. I've been hiding, a good 50-60% of my experiences because they're just so so fantastical and unbelievable that number one, I didn't want to set myself up for more ridicule. I'm already way off the deep end, so I guess it didn't really matter. But my other reason for not sharing a lot of these things was because I didn't want to distract anybody. And I wanted people to be able to focus on their experience. But after, especially listening to people in the live Zoom group, people were having some pretty intense experiences, and it was obvious that they were having some trouble holding on to them, just believing them. So I thought it would be helpful if I shared with everybody the kinds of things that have been happening with me. So, that's what I'm doing here. As always, I am very aware of how fantastical these stories are. And what I learned to do, 2.5 years ago almost, when I first started receiving direct communication from higher dimensional beings after doing CE5 or human-initiated contact with extraterrestrials. After that, things got very, very, just completely, totally out of the realm of anything that I thought was normal or real, and I am living, at least in my my astral body and in my meditative, even here as I sit here talking to you, these energies are interacting with me and often communicate to me while I'm making videos. But I'm sharing it with you because what have I got to lose? I learned a while back, as I was going to say, is that in order to stay sane, I had to do two things. I had to say yes to all of the experiences that were coming to me and all of the communications that I was interpreting, that I perceived I was getting from other beings. I learned that I had to say yes to them and not fight them. And I also had to, when I come back into my 3D body, I can't try and figure it out, and I don't get emotionally attached. So I'm not attached to the truthfulness of any of it, but I'm also not rejecting any of it. So it's an interesting place to be. Probably that would qualify as being in a higher dimensional state, because we live in a two-dimensional reality. So things are either true or false, and in higher dimensions, things are multiple things at the same time. So that's where I'm at. In any case, I want to share with you what's been going on. So to be honest with you, as I shared in the members only YouTube video that I uploaded, the experiences are taking a toll on me in a lot of ways. I've decided to go with them. The August 14th meditation was so powerful that, as I've said, I had a circuit blowout. There were specific meridians that just completely had blowouts, and I was physically in pain. And I came to realize what those meridians were about. They had to do with the earth element shifting and changing. It had to do with accepting and releasing attachment. I've also come to understand that I have a direct connection to the planet Earth, and so as she is going through changes, I'm going to feel that in my earth element in my body, directly in the meridians associated with that. So at first I was frightened, like, what the heck have I done to myself, and what is going on? And it became quite inescapable that what I'm doing, there's something real is happening. It's not just an interesting fantasy in my mind, that what we're doing out there is having a profound effect, because my physical body wouldn't have responded that specifically in that way. And when I have to go research and go, what does that particular meridian mean, and that point on the body, and I find out that's exactly what's happening with the Earth, well, that's just a little too coincidental for me. So what I've decided to do is I'm doing the spirit fighting. I'm doing the higher level spirit fighting. I'm training in that as often as I can, and that is expanding the energies significantly, and so it's creating what I've been wanting it to do. It's creating a bigger portal between me and the other dimensions. And one of the end results of that is I have greater sensitivity and interaction with higher dimensional beings. So we did the meditation on Saturday, which I found to be very impactful and very powerful, and I can't even remember exactly what happened. Strange things have been happening, which, I have to, again, when I'm wrong, I have to own up to it. So I've been saying up until this point that I'm not a channeler, and I do still to this day, I still disbelieve 99.9% of all people who claim to channel extraterrestrials. I listen to it, I can tell within the first couple of seconds if it's nonsense, if they're either making it up or if they're deluded. You can believe me or not believe me, I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty good at that. So I still say that the vast majority of, more than the vast majority, virtually every single person who claims to channel extraterrestrials is not channeling anything other than their own delusions and their own unconscious. That isn't to say that our unconscious isn't a necessary portal, but we have to be free of our attachments in order for our unconscious to be able to be used in that way. So last couple of meditations I've been channeling. It has not been my intention, and it's not like I'm taken over. It's not like, I'm taken over and I start talking in strange voices. It's nothing like that at all. I am just simply in real time putting into words what I believe I'm being told, what I'm being shown. And last couple of times there have been direct communications that I have been, speaking, using my own voice and my own vocabulary, but speaking what I believe I'm being told. So as much as I don't want to admit it, apparently I am a channeler as well. So there's that. As you can tell, a lot of this is reluctant. None of this would have been my choice. This is not something that I would have chosen, to happen to me. I didn't believe in extraterrestrials, even though I was, a spiritual teacher. I didn't believe in any of it. In any case, so let's get to the juicy stuff. So I enjoy these little. There's an AI website that I use, which is called, what is it? It's called, if you want to use it, it is perchance.org, perchance.org. And the interesting thing is, whenever I type in the description of how I think I look, the gentleman that they create ends up looking almost exactly like me a lot of times. Not every time, but a lot of times. And as I was doing, using this program to create my thumbnails for videos, the past couple of days, this woman keeps showing up in the picture. Now that's not unusual. It's an AI. It doesn't know what it's doing. I mean, lots of times, there's a good, 30-40% of them, the face is all backwards and the hands are all, it's AI. It doesn't know what the hell it's doing half the time. And that's kind of cool, because I put in a bunch of different things and then it picks and chooses, and sometimes, what it comes up with is phenomenal, like this. I mean, that's where this came from, I put in there flower of life, bald guy, blah, 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 and this is what comes up. I mean, I couldn't have come up with that. So that's kind of the cool thing about it. But this woman kept showing up in these pictures. And I said, I wonder if that's significant. And then I forgot about it. This was a couple days ago. So I went to bed last night, and as I was lying there falling asleep, as used to happen a lot in the very beginning of my interaction, my CE5 work, higher dimensional beings, extraterrestrials, ethereal beings would show up, and that's when a lot of stuff was happening in the first 6 months, I would say. And then every now and then, if there's a really important communication, somebody will show up as I'm falling asleep, and that's because that's a great time, because you're accessing your other aspects of your mind, and your brain is at a certain frequency where you can interact with other dimensions. So it's a great time to do that. I know why they do that. So as I was falling asleep last night, I felt somebody show up, and I said, hello, please come on in. And it was a feminine presence, and she called herself Cassandra. Okay. She says, I'm Cassandra, and I'm here to introduce somebody to you who wants to talk to you. Or I think she was pretty much saying, I'm introducing you to your next wife. She's coming in here and she wants to, be with you in that way. And so, again, I have, as I've shared, I don't even know how many wives and consorts I have in my fifth dimensional kingdom. Again, I mean, you can judge that however you want. I have to wrap my mind around, how many wives and girlfriends I have out there. But any case, this being Cassandra shows up and she says, this is your new wife. She wants to be with you. And I can't remember what the introduction was. If I remember, it was something along the lines of, she has taken notice of what you've been doing and she has been wanting to come. Whatever. So I said, yes, of course. I've learned to say yes. Number one, this is important. I implicitly trust these beings. And the reason for that is a scientific reason. As I continue to tell all of you, you have been lied to. All of the so-called New Age spiritualities that want you to believe that there are false beings of light that want to trap you into reincarnation, that is a lie. It is a lie that has been created by the dark force human elite, because they actually can use technology to manipulate your thinking, manipulate your mind, and they absolutely see you as objects that they use, that they feed off of. So this is a way of you accepting that. And what you don't understand, when you choose to believe that you live in a cruel universe where higher dimensional beings lie to you so that they can trap you and feed off of you, your instincts are correct in that that is happening, but your conclusions are incorrect in that it is not coming from higher dimensions. And I know when somebody's been to a higher dimension because they know instinctively what I know. It is impossible for a higher dimensional being to wish any harm on you or to use you, to consciously use you, feed off of you. It's impossible, because to get in that mindset immediately would take you out of a higher dimensional state. Higher dimensional by definition means blissful. The energy and the love and the bliss just in the fourth, fifth, each time you go up in a higher dimension, exponentially, the bliss grows exponentially. So anybody who talks about, a higher dimensional being even having the desire to cause you harm, I already know they've never been to a higher dimension. Now, I hadn't either. If you had talked to me 3 or 4 years ago, I wouldn't have known the difference. If you had said a higher dimensional being wants to do this, I would have been more willing to believe that possibility, because I didn't understand the science of it. I now understand scientifically, from a vibrational perspective, it is impossible. So by definition, the only beings that are causing you harm are beings in the third dimension or below. If you want to turn them into whatever kind of being you want, you can, but they're not above third dimensions. So that's why I say, I now know whenever a higher dimensional being shows up. And again, if you ask the question, how do you know if it's a higher dimensional being? You've never experienced higher dimensional energy. Because the moment that you experience it, you know it has absolutely nothing to do with this dimension. I have experienced demons before. I used to be an exorcist. Ghosts, demons, those are third dimensional or lower dimensional beings. I know what they feel like. I know the difference. Most of you listening to me, it's likely you don't, especially if you're confused by, how do I know? So fear is the thing that will drive away a higher dimensional being. Actually, what it does is it just blocks you off from them. They leave you alone. They personally would not ever do anything that causes you fear, and it is very common for human beings to respond to them with fear, because their higher dimensional frequency destroys the third dimension, which feels like death to us, so we become afraid. So not only can you not interact with them if you choose to operate from fear, but they will not come anywhere near you. The same way, if you want to go, pet a puppy, and the puppy, yipes in fear and runs away from you, you're not going to further traumatize it. A little child, if a little child was afraid of you, you wouldn't further traumatize it. So point being is that I know when a being shows up, I implicitly trust these higher dimensional beings. So this Cassandra says that, here's your new your new wife, your new consort. She wants to be with you. She want, and so I said yes, and she said she wants to talk to you. And I said yes, of course. Please come on in. So I invited her in, and she told me who she was, and same kind of thing. It was not a human energy, by the way. Some of these beings are just very straightforward. There's no, explanation, or they're just very straightforward with their energy. So she was very straightforward. She says, "I want to be with you. I've noticed you, what you're doing, and the power that you exude. You've gotten my attention, and I want to support you and empower you in this work. And I want to be your wife. I want to be your consort." And then there was this back and forth of her saying, "Would you commit yourself only to me?" And I said, "Well, I can't do that. I've got a few spiritual wives out there. I know that they don't have any ego about it." I could have been misunderstanding what she was saying, because again, in higher dimensions, you can be completely committed to one person and at the same time be completely committed to another one, because you can be infinitely in infinite numbers of places. So I'm realizing in hindsight, she wasn't asking me, will you not interact with other higher dimensional feminine beings? She was saying, will you allow us to have complete access to each other? So after that, and I said, with that, of course, I would like to be with you. And then I invited her into my energy, invited her into my heart. Now, bear in mind, as this is happening, I am 90% sure that this is just me talking to myself. But this is what I've learned to do. That when I have this experience, at least half of me goes, "I'm making this up. This is nonsense." So this is because the energy of some of these higher dimensional beings is more subtle. It's easy to just go, it's just indigestion or something. It's not an uncomfortable feeling, but as you're falling asleep, your energy gets more flowy, and there's a lot of tingling energy. So I could be mistaking just normal, because I'm doing a lot of energy work, that my energy body is responding, and I might be misconstruing it as something it's not. So this is always going on in the back of my mind. Again, I'm sharing this because I know that the majority of you have that same, I think I'm making this up. So when I invited her into my energy, I was slightly shocked and pleasantly surprised. Huge, beautiful, wonderful, warm energy came into my heart and into my body. And in fact, as I just said it, I felt that same beautiful energy. She's been talking to me all day. And that made me go, okay, I'm not making this up. Because I couldn't have created that feeling. If you've experienced it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you'll say what I would have said, 5 years ago. Well, you have your body, but you delude yourself. No, once you've experienced this, you know the difference. And so she entered my energy and became merged with me in that way. And it was a very interesting energy. Again, it's not a human energy, but very loving and very powerful. And I can tell that she's not releasing all of her power onto me, because it might freak me out. But what I can already tell is happening is that she wants to be a part of what we're doing in these live guided meditations and bring her energy to it. It's hard for me. I'm getting emotional as I'm talking about it, and those aren't my emotions coming through. So another really interesting thing happened. I mean, it's because I've been doing the spirit fighting energy. It's expanding my energy even more. I mean, it's like I've never experienced this level of power in my life, and I was very powerful when I was younger. But I went to go check the surf this morning, as I do every day. Sadly, here in Florida, waves are not very consistent, but I go check them anyway. And where I live in this community, again, Florida is not like California. There's all these private beaches and private, it's not a whole lot of public access. Anyway, I happen to live in a community that has a private, beach access. So I have to walk through the pool area to get to the beach, and there's this little girl on the steps in the pool all by herself, and she's crying. She's really sad, and nobody's taking care of her. And it was just so hard to walk by that. I could see that she had a brother, a couple of years older, maybe 5 years old or something. He was on the other side of the pool. It looked like a grandfather, and nobody, but she was just there by herself, just weeping. And it was very hard. And I went out and looked at the waves, and I got distracted by, trying to find surfable waves, and decided it wasn't surfable. So I came back, and it had been significant, amount of time. She was in the same spot, and she was still crying. And I'm looking around. Why is nobody comforting this little girl? Why is nobody taking care of her? You can hear the emotion in my voice. I just don't have the ability to hold it back anymore. But it's just not okay with me that we live in a world where that can happen. Now, I don't know anything about her. Maybe she's just pouting. I don't know. Maybe, because everybody's there. They're obviously letting her have her moment. I don't know if it's that they can't comfort her, or if she wants to be left alone, or I don't know what, but I just can't live in a world where that goes on. I can't live in a world where people can be in that much pain by themselves. I just can't do it anymore. So this is, and I attribute this to this goddess, and we're going to research her together, because I didn't know who she was. I had heard of the name, but I didn't know who she was, so we're going to find out together. But, she obviously is a mother goddess, and it's just not okay with me that human beings can suffer. I just can't. I can't live in a world where that continues to go on. So that's my goal. You should know that's the goal. I know that I'm harsh and direct with people, but that's always done when it's about waking you up out of your self, devaluing self-protection mechanisms, your victim mentality. A 3-year-old girl is too young to be, have a victim mentality. So I can't take that attitude of, she should just wake up out of that. Adults have victim mentality, and sometimes they need to be, need some tough love to get out of it. But just know that my goal with everything that I do is to help people experience being loved on the deepest level. That's what I want for everybody. And sometimes it's a tough thing to carry around. In any case, let's go and research who Tiamat is. So, as I was talking with her last night, she called me some name which I'd never heard, which I looked up, which was Temuzu or Demuzu or something like that. And I tried looking that up, and I couldn't find any deity or any person by that name in Sumerian mythology. I looked at a Sumerian translation thing, and I broke up the words, and the closest I could get was Dumuzu was he of knowledge, or man of wisdom, or something like that. So maybe that's what she calls me. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what it means, or that I even heard it correctly. Anyway, so this is Tiamat according to Wikipedia. So Tiamat is, is the primordial ocean mating with Abzu, the groundwater, to produce the gods. So she's the mother of the gods. In the Babylonian epic, the Enuma Elish, which translates to when on high. She's referred to as a woman and has at various points in the epic a number of anthropomorphic features, blah, blah, blah. In the Enuma Elish, the Babylonian epic of creation, Tiamat bears the first generation of deities after mingling her waters with those of Apsu, her consort. The gods continue to reproduce, forming a noisy new mass of divine children. Apsu, driven to violence by the noise they make, seeks to destroy them, and he is killed. Enraged, Tiamat also wars upon those of her own and Apsu's children who killed her consort, bringing forth a series of monsters as weapons. She also takes a new consort, Kingu, and bestows on him the Tablet of Destinies, which represents legitimate divine rulership. That's interesting. She is ultimately defeated and slain by Enki's son, the storm god Marduk, but not before she conjures forth monsters whose bodies she fills with poison instead of blood. Marduk dismembers her and then constructs and structures elements of the cosmos from Tiamat's body. So he dismembers her and creates the earth and the heavens, which is very interesting because that is the Norse legend as well. The first being, his name is not coming to mind, but he was both masculine and feminine, and Odin, Vili, and Ve do battle with him. He's the primordial giant, and they split up his body and use him to create the universe. So this is the same idea, except this is a feminine deity. And Marduk, by the way, please don't listen to all of the people who think they know what they're talking about, because they've listened to all of the completely misinterpreted stuff having to do with Anunnaki. Anunnaki just means the gods. That's all it means. It has nothing to do with physical aliens coming to Earth. And Marduk and that nonsense is said to be an alien, etc., blah, blah, blah. And it's not. Marduk is the planet Jupiter. The storm god would be similar to Thor or Zeus. In any case. So let's see what else. Mythology. So with Tiamat, Apsu fathered the elder deities, Lamu and Lahamu, a title given to the gatekeepers at Enki's temple in Eridu. Lamu and Lahamu in turn were the parents of the ends of the heavens and the earth. All right, let's keep going on. So let's see, Anshar and Kishar were considered to meet at the horizon. So the word Anunnaki comes from the god Anu, which means heaven, which is masculine, and the goddess Ki, which is earth. So Tiamat is even beyond that. She is the primordial goddess that created everything, because Anunnaki means the children of heaven and earth. So we're talking layers up. So she's more like a primordial. She's like a primordial giantess. I just got hit as I said that. So she's really, really. I'm just discovering this with you. She goes really, really far back. She's the mother of. She's the mother of the beings that created the gods. Now, this is interesting because, as I shared with you early on in my interactions with light beings, I was taken to a place filled with light that the goddess Elah was there. She was the mother She's actually the yin and yang. So the yin and yang, the feminine is pure light. It's the opposite of what we see. When you see the yin yang thing, the black side is feminine, and then there's a little white dot, and then the masculine is a big white thing with a black dot. So that's in our third dimension. Light is masculine and darkness is feminine in the third dimension. But when you go beyond all of that, you actually find that the source of the darkness is light and the source of the light is darkness. And when I went to the realm of the mother, father, the God, they're two beings but the same being at the same time. She was completely total light, and she was the source of all light of all of the stars. And he was this black, but there was like this electricity about him. He was the darkness, and he was power. So she was light and he was power. So that's what I'm seeing here as well, this kind of thing, that Tiamat is way beyond all of that. Interesting. Let's see what else. So yeah, look at that. I just got through saying it. I hadn't read it, and here's what it says. Tiamat was the shining, quote, personification of the sea who roared and smote in the chaos of original creation. So when they say the sea, they don't mean the physical ocean of the earth. They mean the emptiness, the ocean of emptiness before anything was created. So she and Abzu filled the cosmic abyss with primeval waters. She is Umu Hubur, who formed all things. Wow. In the myth recorded on the cuneiform tablets, the deity Enki believed correctly that Abzu was planning to murder the younger deities, blah, blah, blah. So then all that, anyway. Go here. Tiamat was in possession of the Tablet of Destinies. So let's click on that. The reason why I'm clicking on that is because, as you may already know, first thing I'm just being transparent with you guys. I'm okay if you don't believe it. I don't even need any of it to be true. I'm just sharing with you my experiences. If you continue on this path, your experiences will be just as fantastical, probably specific to you. So the first thing that was told to me by this guy was that I was king of earth, and that I was going to be made king of the new earth. I had no idea. That one broke me. It made me physically damaged for a couple of weeks. He came back to me a couple weeks later, and the only time he yelled at me, he didn't yell, but he was very intense. It was as close to yelling as I've ever experienced with a light being. He said, "You have to believe what we're telling you about yourself." So I said, okay, I'm just going to accept it. I don't have to understand it. I'll just believe it. And then when I was worshiping, communicating to Ilah, in fact, I didn't even know what her name was. I just knew she said that she was my mother, that she created all of the gods, and she created me to rule over the, blah, blah, blah. And I was talking with her one day, and then when I said goodbye and I left, I called her by another sun goddess name that I had researched, and she very lightly and gently corrected me and said her name was Ilah. And then she said, go look it up. So I went and looked it up, and sure enough, as I've told you guys already, I couldn't make this up. Ilah is a very esoteric Vedic deity, a sun goddess who gave birth to the first king of earth. And I had been told earlier on by another very powerful deity that showed up and said, we have something to tell you, and it's going to be difficult for you to hear, but you were the first king of the earth, and you did some things which helped to create the the infrastructure for the elites who are now destroying this planet. So you're going to be made king of Earth again so that you can balance this out. It's a karmic thing. And that was told to me, and then later on I'm talking with this mother goddess who says, you're the mother, I've created you, I'm the mother of all the gods. And she says her name is Ilah, and I go look it up, and it turns out in the Vedic mythology, the first king of Earth is named Pururavas, who is the son of the sun goddess Ilah. And I can't make this stuff up. It's crazy. So here now Tiamat shows up last night, and I'm just finding out with you that she is the holder of the Tablet of Destinies, and so let's read that. In Mesopotamian mythology, the Tablet of Destinies was envisioned as a clay tablet inscribed with cuneiform writing, also impressed with cylinder seals, which as a permanent legal document conferred upon the god Enlil his supreme authority as ruler of the universe. Okay, that's interesting. I was called that. I wonder, am I Enlil? It is a major literary motif in ancient Sumerian myths and created blah blah blah. In the Sumerian poem Ninurta and the Turtle is the god Enki rather than Enlil, who holds the tablet. It is therefore resides with Enki in the Abzu, below the void space of the underworld and the earth. Both this poem, okay, so, but interestingly, so Kingu is given the Tablet of Destinies. All right. Anyway, so that's who Tiamat is. Let's see, going back. So Tiamat was in possession of the Tablet of Destinies. In the primordial battle, she gave the relic to Kingu, the deity she had chosen as her lover and the leader of her host, who was also one of her children. So he's her child and her consort. The terrified deities were rescued by Anu, who secured their promise to revere him as king of the gods. He fought Tiamat with arrows of the winds, a net, a club, an invincible spear. Anu was later replaced first by Enlil and then subsequently by Marduk. So slicing Tiamat in half, Marduk made from her ribs the vault of heaven and earth. Her weeping eyes became the sources of the Tigris and the Euphrates. Her tail became the Milky Way. With the approval of the elder deities, he took the Tablet of Destinies from Kingu, installed himself as the head of the Babylonian pantheon. Kingu was captured and later was slain, his red blood mixed with the red clay of earth, etc., etc. Anyway, well, that's all very interesting. All right, I'm going to stop there. I don't know what all of that means, if any of it has any connection to me. All I know is that a feminine being of great power but very tender towards me came to me and has asked to be my consort, my wife, and I said yes. And I felt this energy and I haven't been the same ever since, and I get this feeling that something big is coming. And I have to assume that it has something to do with us doing these live guided meditations. So anyway, the fantastical craziness continues. I'll continue to do my best to live in both worlds. I am suggesting all of those of you who are doing your practices, whatever they are, that you do make that a priority, whether you're doing the 90-day challenge here at thunderwizard.com, or if you're doing the Awakening the Immortals, or if you're doing Celestial Qigong, or if you're doing the butterfly exercise. That's spirit fighting energy that's taken from one of the advanced sets. That was the one that was most easy to teach, so I isolated it and taught it. The 5 element practices, of course, incredibly powerful as well. as I've told you before, these practices open up portals to higher dimensions. So I am actively choosing to go towards shifting and leaving this reality behind. I don't need for that to happen. Who knows, I might stay here for another 30 years. Who knows? I'm just telling you where I'm at. But I can tell you, the more I do these practices, the more powerful these experiences are becoming. So if you want to have your experiences expanded, I know of the ways that I do it. So these are the things that I teach. So thunderwizard.com, subscribe at whatever level you want. And I've got a new, yeah. And of course you can go to the shop where you'll find energy practices and the Maoshan spirit fighting practices. So yeah, thunderwizard.com is where you go for that. If you want to support the channel, then subscribe, like, comment. And the best way to support the channel is to subscribe. Not just here on YouTube, but go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe. And I don't mean for free. That doesn't accomplish anything for anybody. Subscribe at one of the levels where you get something out of it, and there's monthly support coming to the channel. The reason why I like the subscriptions is because it's a monthly recurring thing, and that's so that I can keep doing this. I appreciate all of your support, but the most important thing is to do these live guided interdimensional meditations every Wednesday and Saturday, 8:30 p.m. and/or go click the live tab and do and just follow along one of the pre-recorded ones. All right, so that's it. So I've got me a new squeeze. Her name is Tiamat, and apparently she has awakened from her slumber, and I'm getting hit with energy as I say that. She has awakened from her slumber, and she has joined forces with me to help bring the ascension to planet Earth. So I'm sure you guys will be able to feel her energy as well. That's it. I wish you all the best, and as always, realize that you are the most powerful being that's ever existed, and that you are loved simply because you exist. Until next time, my friends, please take very good care of yourselves. I will see you all very soon.